Hi everyone, I'm Stephanie Dreyer, a plant-based meal planning expert and the founder of stephaniedreyer.com, where I help busy parents bring more ease to their meal prep and meal times. I am also a mom of three. We are a mixed bunch of a vegan, a vegetarian, and a couple of omnivores. And I have been on a meal planning journey for probably a little over the last 10 years to bring more joy to my kitchen and back to meal times and the dinner table, because I've really found that it's been a struggle with managing all different types of like I said, mixed bunch in my around my table, and I was losing that connection with how much I love to cook, with trying to get meals on the table. So I have so much to share. I love to cook. I love to meal plan, and I wanted to talk to you today about sheet pan dinners. So I'm a little new to the sheet pan party, but it is one of my new favorite meal planning tips. It is so simple. It simplifies meal prep. There's only one pan to clean, and it has opened up my mind to so many different ideas and creative ways to put dinner together on just a sheet pan. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that today, and I have a free download for you I'm going to talk to you about later that is all about some specific meal plan or sheet pan meal ideas to help you get started. So if you're not familiar with a sheet pan dinner, it's really very simple. Basically, everything goes on one pan. You put it in the oven, and dinner is served. The oven does all the work for you. Sometimes I might, if I've batch cooked some rice or make, depending what I'm making, do some pasta or something like that, I might prep that while the sheet pan is in the oven, or I'll batch cook that on the weekend. And so that might be another component I add to my sheet pan. But most of the time, everything for dinner is on that sheet pan. And as soon as it comes out of the oven, I plate it, serve it, and dinner is ready. And that is the only pan that I need to clean after dinner time, which is amazing. I hate doing dishes. I love to cook, but I hate doing dishes. So I want to share, before I go into some of my favorite, I am going to share some meal ideas and also some of my favorite sheet pan recipes. But before I do that, I want to talk to you about a couple of tips that can help simplify the process. So number one, keep it simple. You don't want to crowd too much on your sheet pan, because then things won't cook well and it can just get too crowdy and messy. So you want to make sure, if you do have a crowd to feed, make it 2 sheet pans or 3 sheet pans, but try not to overcrowd what you're doing. Just keep it simple to maybe 2 or 3 ingredients and you're good to go. That's all you really need. I also recommend using a Silpat mat, one of those non-stick mats. I love those, are so great. Or parchment paper on your sheet pan, and that will make cleanup even simpler and quicker than just putting it straight on the sheet pan. Let's see what else. Oh, basting. So you can add, when you put everything on your sheet pan, you're going to season it. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit. But you also can baste your vegetables and proteins while, in between while they're cooking, to add extra, extra flavor and give it a little during the cooking process. I found that to be really helpful, is to baste throughout, and then you can even serve like a side of the marinade or whatever you're basting with the meal, and it goes a long way. So I mentioned a plant-based meal planning expert. So I focus on plants, and I have found some great stacking types of vegetables that you can use to like layer things on a sheet pan. And squash, potatoes, cauliflower steaks, and portobellos are all great options for making stacks. And when I say stacks, I mean you can layer different ingredients on top of each other to add even more dimension to your sheet pan meals, and I'll talk to you about some of those ideas. But for example, you could do polenta. Oh, polenta is another great one that you can, the pre-made rolls you can slice and top with. But portobello mushrooms, for example, you can stack with other vegetables, and it roasts all in the mushroom. Same with squash. With potatoes, you can put chili on top and bake it like that, like a stuffed baked potato. So kind of some fun ways you don't have to just roast vegetables and proteins. You can actually make little meals within themselves on the sheet pan. And then my last tip for sheet pans is to add some kind of surprise flavor ingredient. So for me, that would include things like olives, sun-dried tomatoes, capers, what else artichoke hearts. Those are all kind of what I call specialty ingredients, and they add a little something extra to what's going on the sheet pan. Olives taste so great roasted. So do nuts. That's another great add-in. You can put in an almond or something like that, and you're going to use those for bowls, and you can take all the ingredients and top rice with that. So that's my last tip. So hopefully that's helpful as far as getting you started on sheet pan dinners. Before I talk about the free download I have for you, I wanted to share a couple of recipes that I've made recently that have been real big hits in my house and have been really easy and flavorful, that they've gone on my family favorites list because they were such hits. So the first one, and you can find this first one, chimichurri cauliflower and tofu steaks with potatoes. You can find that one on my Instagram page, actually, under highlights. Right below my bio on Instagram, I have a highlight called recipes. And if you scroll through that, you'll find the recipe for this. It's a step-by-step picture recipe. And it's cauliflower steaks, little baby potatoes, and tofu steaks. And I used a chimichurri marinade, or you can make your own. And I basted all the vegetables and the tofu with that, baked it, and then I served it on the side with more chimichurri. And it was so delicious. It was a huge hit. Everyone loved it. You can swap out chimichurri for pesto or an olive tapenade, any type of hearty, I guess a heartier kind of thicker kind of marinade would be great for that. The other thing that I wanted to share with you was a spaghetti squash chili bake. So I mentioned stuffed potatoes, but spaghetti squash is actually a great sheet pan stacker, as we talked about just a couple seconds ago, because you can slice that, put it on the sheet pan, top it with your chili and bake. And then when it's done, if you've ever worked with spaghetti squash, you take a fork and you kind of scrape away at it, and it becomes almost like spaghetti. So you can top it with spaghetti, you can top it with chili, or you could also top it with some kind of tempeh bolognese or a marinara, something like that. And when it comes out, and you can use some dairy-free Parmesan cheese, mozzarella, something like that. Such a great and easy dinner. In fact, I think that's making me hungry, thinking I might make something like that for dinner this week. Okay, another one. Bruschetta, portobellos, and gnocchi. So gnocchi is a great thing to sheet pan bake or roast. And it's actually one of the ideas on my sheet pan downloadable is baked pasta. But no, this idea for bruschetta, portobello, and gnocchi is to toss gnocchi, portobello mushrooms with a bruschetta. And you can make your own bruschetta. There's one at Trader Joe's that I love in the refrigerator section. Or you could do just cherry tomatoes, fresh basil, garlic, olive oil, salt, and pepper, and just do something simple like that. It doesn't have to be an actual bruschetta sauce. Toss all of that together on the pan and put it in the oven, and it is pure heaven. I love that idea. Kind of has an Italian feel. And then last but not least, the other recipe that I wanted to share with you is called Mediterranean chickpea and vegetable nachos. So nachos is another one of the ideas, spoiler alert, on my downloadable that I'm going to share in a second. But this idea takes it Greek style. So instead of using tortilla chips, you would use pita chips or pita bread and cut it up into triangles. And you would top it with chickpeas and cauliflower, zucchini. You could even do, whatever vegetable, broccoli. You could do whatever vegetable you want. And then you would also add Kalamata olives, of course, because it's Greek, and a Greek seasoning blend. So you can, there's one from Penzi Spices that I love, or you could do your own, which would be like garlic powder, salt, oregano, maybe some thyme and basil, some kind of mix like that. And toss that all together with maybe a tablespoon of olive oil and let that bake, and you would have nachos ready to go. Top it, serve it with hummus or garlic sauce. Yum, like such a hit. I know my family loves nachos, so any variation I throw in on that, I can pretty much count on is going to be popular with the family. Okay, so let's talk about the download. So like I mentioned, I have this 10 sheet pan family meals downloadable, and it's an idea starter to get you thinking about the types of sheet pan meals that you can do. So I wanted to focus on, you can download this. The link is up in the description of this post, and you can go through this and get inspired, hopefully, and get the creative juices flowing. But I have a couple I wanted to zero in on today. I mentioned, I already mentioned two, right? I already mentioned the baked pasta and the nachos, but I wanted to also talk about the first one on here, which is fajitas, which is super simple. You would toss any veggie combo of your choice, like onions, peppers, it's for example, and your plant-based protein of choice. So if you're doing, you could do beans, you could do tofu, you could do tempeh. Those are just some options. And you toss it with olive oil and your favorite fajita seasonings. Again, I'm plugging Penzi Spices. They're not paying me. I just am a big fan. They have a great fajita. They have tons of season blends that would taste great on fajitas. So you would just toss that up and then and bake it. And then for about 5 minutes before you're ready, the veggies and everything are complete, you would add your tortillas in there. So corn or flour, add those onto the sheet pan, and dinner is served. So that's another really, really easy one that I wanted to profile. I talked a little bit about potatoes as stackers. So stuffed potatoes is another great sheet pan meal. I do that a lot with chili. My family loves their chili potatoes. So you can bake the potato with the chili all at once. There's so many different ways you can stuff a potato, whatever filling or sauce that you want to do. That's another great one. And the third idea that I wanted to share with you, which we actually already talked about, was the baked pasta. So I shared with the gnocchi, but ravioli is also a great thing to bake. And I just recently discovered this, that baked ravioli or tortellini, it gives it a little crunchiness that is really yummy and fun. And you can toss it with your favorite sauce right on the pan. You could do a marinara, you could do a pesto, you could do a bruschetta, anything like that, and include some vegetables, because vegetables make everything better. It's a great way to get your kids to eat the vegetables, is if you roast it right there on the pan. So tomatoes and basil and garlic would be a great thing to roast with the pasta, because it just already has that natural, the juices that would come off the tomatoes would already add a sauce and make it just a natural Italian meal ready to go. But you can experiment and have fun with the different types of vegetables that you toss in there. Broccoli is another good one, maybe asparagus. Don't get me going on vegetables. I could talk about that all day. So those are just a few ideas. Again, download this for free, and the link is in my description, and you can get quite a few more. I hope it inspires you. I hope you're excited about sheet pan meals after hearing some of the tips and the inspiration that I've given you. Like I said, it's really been a game changer for me for dinner. I don't know why it took me so long to experiment with it, but now that I have, I just get inspired and simplify dinner so all the time. It's like really easy to throw a dinner together, because you can take whatever produce you have in the fridge, whatever you have in your pantry that you're trying to eat up. You can really get creative and come up with something really delicious that doesn't take a lot of time or cleanup, and that the whole family will love. So I hope you'll try it. If you do, leave me a comment below. Feel free to reach out. I'm over at stephaniedryer.com. You can reach me at hello@stephaniedryer.com. And you can also join me over obviously here on Facebook or on Instagram at Veegmama, Veegmama. That's my handle on all my social media feeds. I would love to connect and hear what you're doing with your sheet pan meals. Thanks for joining me. I hope you'll tune in next week. I'm going to be talking about DIY dinner bars, and it's another great meal idea that we do in my family, and I'm going to share some ideas and recipes next Sunday. So check my Facebook and Instagram for all of the details on that. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.